mentioning Leighton, Vander, Esch in that game, just the impact it had on your defense and how you felt Joe played in his place?
Well, obviously you don't want to lose a good player, so that happened. But Leighton was playing well to that point, very active. Anyway, going to Joe. Joe did a good job in his place. Joe, and it did it on limited reps too. That's the thing that's kind of unique about when guys have to go in. In the case of an injury, a lot of times they didn't get the bulk of the reps, and so that's. But he did a very good job, and so we're pleased with that.
Mike, what was the challenge with the and defense this week, and what do you want to see to improve it before you play the Falcons?
What was the challenge this coming week, or the one? Is that what you said?
Where were y'all challenged yesterday in your third down defense?
Oh, I got
where
you.
Do you want to see the guys improve?
Okay. We were challenged yesterday just to get into third down. The first drive, I don't think we got them in third down on the first drive. The second drive, we did a few times, and then we didn't convert. They converted offensively. Now, they were third and short. I thought their game plan was well constructed. They moved the ball around quite a bit, which was nothing we didn't expect, though. That was the disappointing thing, is they didn't do anything we really didn't expect. We just couldn't get in a groove, I guess you could say, early on. And so when we did get them in third down, it was after they had, either gotten a successful run or a screen or bootleg or something like that, where the third down yardage necessary was minimal, and then they converted on those. And then on one of them, they went on a fourth down, and I was pleased with where we made initial contact, but we weren't really able to stop them short of the first down, so that was disappointing. But they didn't get any points off that second drive. The next two that they had, they got field goals, and then the half ended. But as far as third down goes, that was kind of it.
Why did D-Law have such minimal impact, at least on paper? He was credited with one tackle. Can you talk about his game and what was going on there?
I would say what probably played into it more than anything was the fact they kept the third down yardage necessary. They kept it at a minimum, and in that case, obviously, you don't get a lot of good pass rush. I thought their plan was well constructed as far as trying to do that, and they did it, obviously with a first and second down attack that kept things short and, things like that. So that's one of the areas that's strong for D-Law, as you know, is his pass rush, and that's typically in third and longer situations that he gets that. The first and second down passes, I don't know that they went down the field more than, a half a dozen times at most, where they actually had a vertical concept. And that wasn't until late in the game where they kind of threw some in there that they hadn't done in the first half or even in the first three quarters. And that's where a lot of pass rushers get their action. But it's hard for a quarterback or for a pass rusher to get a sack on a bootleg or a sack on a quick empty pass, things like that. It's not, not that they cannot. But there wasn't a lot of opportunity for that in the game, and certainly in the first half. So, look, credit to the Rams; they did a real good job in the first half of executing their plan, and we had a tough time getting off the field in the first half defensively.
How do you think you played against the run last night?
Look, they ran for 150 some yards with a 3.8 average. Now the 150 is impressive; the 3.8 average is not. The key, I think, to winning a football game, though, and I think Mike McCarthy would tell you the same thing, is it's more about the attempts than it is about the total yardage that you get. It always helps to get yardage, don't get me wrong, but when you're able to run the ball, it means you have the ball at a long time, and they had 40 attempts, and that's not just them handing it off. It's them executing on third down to continue to get another 3 downs to run the ball, and that's what so. From a run standpoint, I thought there was downs where we played the run very well. Look, they had I think they had 3 runs over 10 yards, a 14, a 13, and an 11. And the 11-yarder came on that last play of the first half. So it wasn't like they were getting explosive runs necessarily, other than those 2 14 and 13-yarder. That would be considered an explosive run. Like I said, I thought we did some really good things in the running game. It's just that we gave them far too many opportunities by not converting on third down.
What was the problem in the spring? That's been a problem for this team in past years, and it certainly was a problem last night.
Mm-hmm. Well, I take it all as just kind of a game by game. I wouldn't say that anything from the past has run over into this year. The thing that I think has run over in this year is that we really have had no live drills in that area. But I think more importantly, last night they were able to continue to convert on third down and gave them a lot more run opportunities. If we were to get the conversions on those third downs and get them off the field, you're talking about at least 12 to 15 less reps of running the ball potentially that we weren't able to take advantage of. So, it's really too early to tell to compare past to present. But like I said, I was pleased with a lot of things that we did in the trenches in the running game. Like I said, you can gauge your run defense a lot of times when it hurts the most is when you have big explosive runs, and we did not. We just allowed them a lot of opportunities. And that's attributed to not being as good on third down as we'd like to be.
What stood out to you most about Aldon Smith last night?
I would say at times he actually can dominate the point of attack. He's a big, strong man, and and I would say that would be it. Just his ability to dominate at the point of attack sometimes. That's rare. That's not common. Everybody's a professional athlete in the NFL, and everybody's a good player. But some guys are uniquely strong, and I think he is.
This week you got a tough guy to face, and Julio Jones. Just your early thoughts on how can you contain him, if that's possible for a guy like that.
Well, it's always a challenge. He's a very good player. I was there for 3 years with Julio, and I was always impressed with his work ethic. He's very professional in that regard. He's also very professional as the game wears on. Within the game, he doesn't get distracted. He stays pretty focused to his job at hand. It's hard to get him out of his game as a player. If you try to talk him into something, he's not a trash talker. He's kind of just a do my job kind of a guy. But defending him is always a challenge for everyone that plays them. And the thing that makes it that much more difficult is that he's got very good players around him as well. So if you put too much effort into Julio, you've got other problems on the field to deal with. But certainly you've got to make the effort because he's good enough to beat you alone.
Regarding the screen game a little bit more, how much of it, when you look back on the tape, was related to just the need for better recognition? Be it pre-snap, I know one play it was a 30-yarder. It seemed like Jared Goff picked up based on his hard count. There would be some pressure coming from his left side, and then changed the play, and then ran a screen right to the face of the direction of the pressure that he anticipated. Or also just during the play, as the play is developing, is recognition a big part of defending the screen that needs to improve?
Yes, but not to take the easy way out. I think most plays, you could say the same thing to that degree, but maybe more so with screens. I would agree with that. I would think that's part of the issue that we had with the screens last night. I think another part of it was just our inability to convert on certain plays from a coverage aspect into it. But they were well-designed plays. I'm very disappointed from the standpoint that as much as we worked on them, we still didn't execute as very well to stop them. But credit to the Rams, they did a nice job of making them work. They had 2 and 3 linemen at times up on the backer or the DB that was supposed to set the edge on the screen. So they did a good job with that. But I would think if we played it again, knowing what we know now, we would do a better job on those screens. There was 4 screens that went for 60 yards. That concerned me the most. That's a lot of yardage. And on the 4th play of the game was the 30-yarder that I think you're speaking of. But anyway, like I said, I think we'd do a better job if we had to face that again. But you were correct in what you said. That is what happened. We had a pressure coming, and he went to it. And that's common what they do. I mean, they look you over and they call the right play, and they happened to see that we were going to blitz on that play.
Mike, your time in Atlanta.
I'm sorry, start again. Can you start again?
Going back to Aldon for a minute, did you expect, whether it was early in training camp or even earlier in the week, to have to ease him back into the game a little bit? Or how difficult is to do what he did in the first game back in almost 5 years.
Okay, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You said Aldon Smith? You're asking about him getting back.
Did you expect that to use him in a little slowly?
Look, good question from the standpoint. I really don't know what the expectations are. You know, I mean, when you get a player like Aldon, your hope is that he returns to the form he was, you know, when he left the NFL. I don't know that it's an expectation, but it's certainly a hope. And I wouldn't say that he's to that level right now, but he's look at number one, he's a bigger man than he was when he left. He was a very young player before he had to leave the NFL for the last 4 years. And he's a bigger man today than he was then. But and he's continuing to get back in the groove more and more each day. So it's not like he's arrived, but he's certainly, like I said, I think he's getting better all the time as far as, you know, getting back on the field and things like that. But as an expectation standpoint, I think it's more of just being hopeful that you know, that his game is still at least, you know, somewhat close to where it was before he left.
Mike, in your time in Atlanta, going against Matt Ryan in practice and seeing how he led the offense, what do you most appreciate about his game and any intangibles that you observed?
You know, I think the best way is to compare him to someone. I think he's very much like Drew Brees in his approach to the game and his ability to utilize the players around him and to execute the offense. I think he's very much like Drew Brees, and that's as good a compliment as I can give him. I was never around Tom Brady, so I can't compare him to him, but I was around Drew for 3 years, and being around Matt, there's the professionalism between the two guys, and like I said, the utilization of the weapons they have around them. Both of them have a lot of weapons, and very intelligent quarterback. He's a challenge for everyone that plays them, and obviously that shows in just the success that he has week in and week out.
Jalen Smith had 10 or 11 tackles last night. Looked like he got exploited in space. How would you assess his game last night, and did things change for him when Leighton went out?
Say again who that was you're talking about?
Jalen Smith. I mean, he had like 10 or 11 tackles.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like he got exploited at times in space.
Look, Jalen had 10 tackles, and I would say this. I thought Jalen played well. I thought he played with great energy. He had some plays in the game, as many of us did last night, that were plays we'd like to have back. But all in all, I thought he did a good job. He had to step back into the play caller role that he hadn't done this training camp, but that's not a hard thing for him. He's a natural leader, as it is anyway. But I thought that a couple of the plays caught him as, you know, I would say this, the screen maybe caught him a time or two. They had a play designed specifically for the position he was at. I don't know that it was for Jalen, but the position that was going to occupy that position, it was going to cover the running back. They had a little screen where they sent the center out real fast to go block the guy. You know, he happened to be the one covering the player at the time. So, like I said, I don't know that was intended for Jalen, because anyone that was out there was going to have a blocker on him and still have to cover the running back. But all in all, I thought he played a good game. I thought he continues to be getting better and better and playing the run very well. In my estimation, I think he's done a very good job in that regard. And like I said, he's getting better. That's all I got to say about that.
We got time for one more? Or not?
Thank you, guys.
Any more? All right. Thank you, guys.